Every morning, you stand in front of a mirror. But the reflection isn't just messy hair or tired eyes. It's your state of mind, the story you whisper to yourself before the world gets a chance to speak. That's why this video is called 7 Morning Mirrors to Reflect the Strongest You. These aren't physical mirrors hanging on a wall. They're inner reflections, mental check-ins, designed to remind you that strength isn't something you chase, it's something you awaken from within. Over the next few minutes, you'll walk through 7 powerful reminders, each one a mirror held up to the version of you that deserves to lead your life. Stronger, clearer, calmer. These are not lines to listen to once and forget. They're built to return every morning, to repeat silently, and to practice like a daily ritual of self-mastery. If something you hear today resonates, take a second to drop a comment with one line you want to remember. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because your mind doesn't just need motivation, it needs training. That's what we're building here. And if this message helps you reset, reflect, or realign, consider sharing it with someone close to you. A friend, a sibling, a partner. Sometimes the strongest gift we can give isn't advice, it's a timely reminder. One that reflects not just who we've been, but who we're ready to become. One I am already whole, strong, and worthy. Right this moment. Each morning, before the world floods in with its noise, demands, and comparisons, you are given a brief and sacred window. A moment of stillness where you meet yourself in silence. In that moment, most people glance at their reflection not to see who they are, but to check what they are lacking. Too often, the mirror becomes a list of what's missing. Not strong enough, not successful enough, not loved enough. The eyes looking back carry the weight of past failures, unmet goals, and silent fears that whisper, "You are not there yet." And so begins another day lived from deficiency. But what if you chose a different mirror? Not the one hanging on your bathroom wall, but the one built within your mind. The one that doesn't ask what's missing, but what's already here. You see, your worth isn't waiting at the end of some external finish line. It's not hiding in 6-figure success, someone's validation, or a perfect routine. It's not postponed until you feel ready. You are already enough right now, exactly as you are. The version of you that woke up today, with doubt in your chest, with unresolved dreams, with yesterday's mistakes still echoing in your memory, is still whole. Not because everything is perfect, but because even in imperfection, you chose to stand up. You didn't give up. That's not weakness. That's evidence of quiet strength, the kind of inner strength no one claps for, but life respects. This is the power of self-worth without conditions. The strength that comes not from proving anything, but from recognizing what's been there all along. In a world built on chasing validation, walking away from that chase is its own kind of rebellion. When you stop outsourcing your value to things outside your control, you step into a different kind of power. A calm power, a quiet confidence. A presence that doesn't yell, doesn't beg, doesn't explain. It simply exists. And that alone changes the energy of any room you enter. Still, the mind will resist. It will ask for metrics, proof, achievements. You'll feel the urge to perform. But pause here. Since when did survival stop being enough? Since when did enduring your private storms and still choosing decency, choosing to show up for work, for family, for life, become too ordinary to matter? You have carried pain without becoming bitter. You have lost and yet continued to give. You have been overlooked and yet still built in silence. That version of you, the one no one praises, is the strongest you've ever been. And that is what the mirror must reflect. Not your appearance, but your essence. The discipline it takes to keep going. The emotional resilience built in quiet. The self-control to not let fear decide. The mental strength to stop seeking and finally be. Not because you've reached some peak, but because you've stopped waiting to arrive somewhere before feeling worthy. That moment, when you stop striving to prove and simply start living from wholeness, is when life begins to shift. You start creating from clarity. You protect your peace like sacred ground. You choose purpose over performance. You no longer let external chaos dictate your internal state. That's why this mirror matters. Because if you begin your day already full, already strong, already whole, then everything else becomes extra. You no longer need the world to remind you who you are. You wake up already remembering, and the world doesn't get to define someone who already knows. This is not self-love born from softness. This is self-respect forged through fire. You are not becoming worthy, you are rediscovering that you always were. Say it silently, say it aloud. Repeat it until your bones believe it. I am already whole, strong, and worthy right this moment. 2. My presence alone is proof that I am strong. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like a quiet man sitting alone on his porch every morning, sipping his coffee with steady hands and a tired smile. He doesn't tell anyone what he's carrying. He doesn't post about the grief he holds, the silence he lives with since his wife passed. But every day he rises. He opens his door. He nods at the neighbors. And in that simple act of showing up again and again, he teaches a lesson no motivational quote ever could. Resilience is not in what we say, it's in what we continue to do when no one's clapping. You don't need to be celebrated to be strong. You don't need to be seen to be significant. Some of the most powerful people you'll ever meet aren't leading armies or speaking on stages. They're quietly enduring, quietly rising, and quietly becoming. Your presence alone, the fact that you woke up today with all the weight you carry and chose to face this life again, is evidence of strength deeper than surface. And in a world addicted to performance, choosing to be is an act of power. There will always be days when you feel invisible. Days when it seems like the world rewards noise, rewards perfection, rewards those who broadcast every small victory. But real power doesn't beg for recognition. It simply is. When you walk into a room with emotional discipline, with silent confidence, with mental strength earned through private battles, you bring a kind of energy that doesn't need to announce itself. It speaks through presence, and presence cannot be faked. Many people underestimate what it takes to keep going. They think strength is in the results, the applause, the evidence that others can see. But those who've walked through darkness know better. Strength is in not quitting when quitting would be easier. Strength is in showing up for your family, your job, your life, even when no one sees the effort it takes. It's in resisting the urge to explain your pain just to be understood, because you've outgrown the need for external validation. You don't need people to know what you've been through in order to know who you are. You have survived thoughts that once tried to undo you. You have endured moments that fractured your spirit, but didn't destroy it. And while the world might never know the details, your body remembers. Your breath is proof. Your continued existence is a rebellion against everything that tried to break you. That is a strength, raw, unfiltered, real. In the morning mirror, when you see yourself, don't just focus on what still needs work. Acknowledge the fact that you're still here. Not everyone made it this far. Many gave up, some silently, some publicly. You didn't. You're still fighting, still trying, still building. Your presence, even on the days when your energy is low and your mind is cloudy, is still a force. It still matters. And when you finally understand that your value is not tied to how loud you are, but to how real you are, you stop trying to prove and start simply being. So today, remember, your presence is not a placeholder. It is a declaration. It is a living, breathing reminder that your strength didn't come from being unbroken, but from standing back up every time you fell. You are not here to impress. You are here to exist fully, to carry your own energy with quiet power, and to let the world feel what cannot be explained. That is enough. You are enough, and the mirror knows it, even if you sometimes forget. 3. Today, I choose to speak from power, not from pain. Some people live in stories that no longer serve them. They retell the same painful moment, the same betrayal, the same disappointment, as if the past is still unfolding. It becomes like a sad song on repeat. Familiar, yes, but draining. There's comfort in repetition, even if it hurts, because at least you know how the story ends. But what happens when you change the track? What happens when you stop echoing what broke you and start speaking from the ground you've rebuilt? Every morning is a clean slate, a fresh playlist, and your voice, your internal dialogue is the first track you choose to play. You can let pain set the tone, or you can choose something else. You can let your words be a continuation of the wound, or you can let them become a declaration of growth. Choosing to speak from power doesn't mean you deny your hurt. It means you no longer let it narrate your life. It means you speak from the part of you that endured, not the part that shattered. Pain, when left unprocessed, shapes the way we speak. It turns sentences into defenses, emotions into weapons, memories into anchors. But power, true, steady power, comes from stillness. It comes from detachment, from choosing your words not to provoke, not to beg, but to align. When you speak from power, your voice slows down. It sharpens. It stops trying to be heard and starts resonating. It's not about volume, it's about intention. There is a kind of strength that doesn't raise its tone. It simply commands. Not because it wants to dominate, but because it's grounded in clarity. And clarity only exists when you stop reacting, when you stop needing to explain every scar, when you understand that speaking about what hurt you isn't the same as healing it, that healing begins the moment you choose to speak from who you're becoming, not who you used to be. The truth is, your voice is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used to build or to break. You can keep telling the story of who betrayed you, who misunderstood you, who made you feel small, or you can tell a new story. One where you are not a victim of your memories, but a master of your mindset. One where the words you speak are like stone, measured, deliberate, forming the foundation of who you're becoming. In silence, pain grows roots, but when you speak from power, you cut those roots and replant them in something fertile. Your words become mirrors. They show you how far you've come, not how deeply you've bled. And when you hear yourself speak that way, clear, calm, unshaken, you start to believe that you are more than what happened to you. You are the one who got up, who kept going, who chose self-mastery over self-pity. So speak, but not to bleed. Speak to build, to align, to become. Let your words honor your strength, not your sorrow. Let them remind you of what you're creating, not what you've lost. Because every time you open your mouth, you are casting a vote for the life you want. Speak from power, not to impress, not to defend, but because you know who you are, and you don't need pain to validate your voice anymore. That chapter is over, and your voice, it's not a cry for help. It's a signal to yourself and the world that you've arrived, and you're not here to relive the wound. You're here to lead with wisdom. 4. I am the cause, not the effect of my circumstances. It's easy to point outward. You wake up late and blame the alarm. You're frustrated because someone ignored your message, so you blame them for ruining your mood. You put off your work and blame the weather, your energy, or how uninspired the day feels. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what happens if, just for today, you stood in front of the mirror and asked, what if I am the cause, not the effect? That single question cuts deeper than blame ever could. Because the moment you accept it, you stop being a puppet of circumstance and start becoming the architect of your state. Most people live reactively. Their emotions respond to every shift in the outer world. A minor inconvenience ruins their focus. A rude comment poisons their day. An unplanned delay becomes the excuse for not moving forward. But you're not most people. If you're still here, still listening, it means there's a part of you that refuses to keep handing over the keys to your peace. Being the cause means you no longer wait for external order to find inner calm. You create calm first and let the outside catch up or not. It doesn't matter. Because once you become the source, the storm can no longer own you. The Stoics believed this with certainty. You cannot control the wind, but you can set the sail. You cannot predict the crowd, but you can master your reaction. And in doing so, you don't become passive, you become precise. This is not about pretending life is always smooth. It's about no longer needing smooth conditions to remain solid. When you are the cause, you act with discipline instead of mood. You build habits that anchor your day regardless of what the world throws at you. That is mental independence. That is inner strength training. That is living in alignment, not reaction. This mindset changes everything. You stop blaming the traffic for your temper. You stop waiting for motivation to begin. You stop needing people to behave a certain way so you can finally feel okay. Instead, you rise early not because it's easy, but because it's consistent. You follow through on commitments not because they're convenient, but because they build self-respect. You focus not because the world is quiet, but because you've learned to silence your own excuses. And every small choice you make, especially the uncomfortable ones, becomes evidence of leadership. Not over others, but over yourself. You don't need to control everything. You only need to control how you respond. And that's more than enough to shift the entire trajectory of your life. The person who chooses their action instead of waiting to be moved by pressure lives with quiet power. That power isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself, but it's unmistakable. It's seen in the one who walks calmly into chaos, who does the work while others wait to feel ready, who doesn't need permission to begin and doesn't need applause to continue. That person isn't being pushed by life. They're pushing back with clarity. So tomorrow, when the day feels off, don't ask what went wrong. Ask what you can control. Ask where you can move with purpose. Because even when life strips away your comforts, your power remains, as long as you claim it. Being the cause means reclaiming that power every day, not in grand moments, but in small, deliberate choices, in how you carry yourself, in how you decide, and in how you refuse to let external noise define your inner standard. You are not the effect. You are the reason. You are the shift. You are the one who sets the tone, and because of that, the day bends, not you. 5. Discipline is the bridge that leads me to true freedom. A few years ago, I asked a friend who had been running every morning for 5 years, "Do you ever feel too lazy to go?" He laughed and said, "Most days. But I don't run because I feel like it. I run because I've stopped negotiating with myself." That answer stayed with me, because it shattered the illusion that discipline is about motivation. It's not. Discipline is about making a promise to yourself and keeping it when no one's watching. It's about living in alignment with the person you said you'd become, even when the feeling is gone and the mood has passed. And strangely enough, that kind of discipline is the birthplace of real freedom. Most people confuse freedom with doing what they want. But that's not freedom. That's an impulse. That's emotion steering the wheel. True freedom is when you can do what's necessary, even when every part of you wants to escape it. Freedom is found in the ability to show up when it's hard, to stay grounded when distraction calls, to choose action when delay feels more comfortable. It's in the moment you rise at dawn, not because it's glamorous, but because your future depends on it. And each time you do it again and again and again, you are silently telling yourself, "I can be trusted." Discipline doesn't yell. It doesn't show off. But it builds the quiet strength that makes you unshakable. The kind of strength that doesn't need external validation to continue. It just does. Discipline is how you build mental resilience. It's how you gain emotional self-control. It's how you create structure when life feels chaotic. The world will tempt you with shortcuts. It will tell you to rest before you've earned it. It will whisper that no one's watching, that this small decision won't matter. But you will know better, because every time you keep your word to yourself, you're laying another brick on the bridge from who you are to who you are becoming. This is the difference between temporary motivation and long-term mastery. Motivation is loud and fleeting. Discipline is quiet and consistent. It doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It moves forward because it has made a decision, and that decision is sacred. Discipline is the opposite of chaos. It's an order. It's clarity. It's choosing the harder path, not because it's painful, but because it leads somewhere real. And that destination isn't built overnight. It's carved one choice at a time, in silence, without applause. There will be mornings when your body wants to sleep in, when your mind feeds you excuses that sound logical, when skipping the habit, the workout, and the hard conversation feels easier. And on those mornings, you will remember, comfort costs more than discipline ever will. Every excuse you give in to takes you a step back from the life you say you want. But every small act of discipline, getting up, showing up, following through, is proof that you are stronger than your feelings. And that truth compounds. It becomes a mindset. It becomes your identity. Discipline is not self-punishment. It's self-respect. It's choosing structure over sabotage, order over emotional chaos, consistency over crisis. And each time you cross that bridge, you become freer. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Because you stopped waiting to feel ready and started acting like someone who was already worthy. That's the paradox of freedom. It isn't found in escape. It's found in structure. It's found in the quiet rhythm of your daily effort. And if you keep showing up, even on the hard days, you'll wake up one morning and realize the bridge has carried you home. 6. I release everything that dims the light within me. Imagine carrying a backpack. At first it's light, just a few stones you barely notice. A harsh word from someone close, a guilt you've never named, a relationship that once gave you comfort now drains you quietly. You tell yourself, it's fine, I can manage, and you do for a while. But as you keep walking through the days, the weight begins to settle into your spine. You stoop, slow down, and forget what it feels like to move freely. Not because you're weak, but because you're carrying what you no longer need. This is the nature of emotional weight. It doesn't show up all at once. It accumulates quietly until your light starts to dim under the pressure of what was never meant to stay. Letting go isn't always a dramatic gesture. Sometimes it's as simple and as hard as telling yourself the truth. That which once helped you survive is now holding you back. That staying loyal to old roles, outdated identities, and draining connections is no longer a sign of strength. It's resistance to growth. The light within you, the part that guides, that creates, that reflects quiet confidence, is still there. But when buried beneath unresolved emotion, old habits, and the noise of what no longer aligns, it can't shine. And your clarity fades with it. People often fear release because they think it means loss. But what if release is actually remembering who you were before you learned to dim? Before you felt the need to shrink to keep the peace? To say yes while your gut screamed no? To perform strength when what you really needed was space to breathe? Letting go is not betrayal. It's returning to balance, to presence, to alignment with the person you're becoming. You do not need to explain it to those committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need closure from those who were never willing to offer clarity. Release is yours to claim, not theirs to grant. The Stoics never encouraged attachment to what can be lost. They believe peace comes from internal clarity, not external conditions. And in the same way, you must clear a path to move forward. You must clear your inner space to let your strength breathe again. Every time you carry dead weight, old blame, guilt, silent resentment, you suffocate your own energy. You mute your own voice. You slow your own progress. But when you choose release, even in silence, you reclaim power. You become light again, not because the world changed, but because you did. Sometimes release is walking away from a conversation that never brings clarity. Other times it's deleting a number that only leads to self-doubt. Sometimes it's a habit, a pattern, a narrative you tell yourself about who you are that no longer holds true. These small acts of surrender, done without fanfare, have the power to return you to yourself. And in doing so, they allow your inner strength to stretch, to expand, to radiate again. You are not too much. You were just too bright for environments that taught you to be less. You were never the problem. But maybe what you carried became too familiar to question. Today is your chance to question it. To hold up each stone and ask, do I still need this? Not out of bitterness, out of awareness. Not because you hate what it was, but because you finally honor what it's no longer meant to be. And in that quiet decision, your posture changes. You walk taller, you breathe easier, your light returns, not because it was lost, but because you finally made space for it to rise. 7. This day will respond to the energy I bring into it. There are mornings when you wake up and feel nothing. No spark, no clear thought, no reason to move. Not sadness exactly, just an odd kind of emptiness, like a quiet fog sitting on your chest. You scroll your phone, hoping a message will come through to shake you out of it. You look outside and wonder if the sky will send a sign. You wait, you delay. But deep down, you already know, nothing changes until you move. Not because the day suddenly improves, but because you choose to shift. Even slightly, even with something small. That shift becomes the hinge for everything that follows. We forget that we are not just observers of the day, we are co-creators. The moment you enter a room, your energy says something before your mouth ever does. That's not motivation, that's physics, that's presence. If you bring hesitation, the day mirrors it back. If you bring grounded intention, even if quiet, even if tired, the day begins to listen. There's a frequency inside you, and it broadcasts constantly. You get to choose the signal. Most people spend the day reacting to messages, to noise, to traffic, to people's moods. They believe the day is happening to them. But here's the deeper truth. The day is reacting to you. You are not the effect. You are the tuning fork. You set the tone. If you begin in chaos, the world feels louder. If you begin in clarity, even 5 minutes of stillness, breath, and quiet strength, the world shifts, or at least it no longer overwhelms you the same way. That's not magic. That's mental discipline. The Stoics understood this well. They taught that external events are neutral until you assign them meaning. So when you wake and feel nothing, the choice is not to wait for feeling to lead you. The choice is to lead anyway. Even a single act, a cold shower, a glass of water, making your bed, sends a message to your mind. I am here. I am in motion. I choose to start. That message grows. One shift creates another. And before you realize it, you've built momentum, not from excitement, but from decision. Energy is not hype. It's not volume. It's not positive thinking plastered over exhaustion. It's alignment. It's showing up with presence, even when your body wants to retreat. It's carrying quiet confidence when your mind wants to scatter. The world doesn't always give back what you want, but it rarely ignores consistency. And when you move with clear intention, you become magnetic, not because you're loud, but because you're aligned. Some days will resist you. Nothing flows. Everything drags. But even then, your posture, your tone, your choices still send signals. Will you fold into the day's resistance, or will you meet it with steady clarity? The answer doesn't need to be dramatic. It needs to be real. Because no matter how uncertain the world becomes, there is one constant you always control: the energy you choose to bring. And that energy becomes your anchor. So don't wait for the day to be kind. Don't wait for the world to hand you on a platter. Instead, walk in with certainty. Bring stillness. Bring purpose. Bring that inner strength you've been building in silence. This day has no power over you, but it will respond to you, to your breath, to your posture, to your choices. The moment you decide, the day begins to shift. Not because it changed first, but because you did. Every morning is more than just a beginning. It's a reset, a mirror, a choice. The 7 morning mirrors we've explored aren't just motivational ideas. They are mental discipline techniques to help you lead yourself, not just survive the day. When you choose clarity over chaos, when you move in silence but with certainty, when you speak from power and not pain, you're not reacting to life. You're shaping it. That is what true inner strength looks like. Not loud, not dramatic, just unshakable. If any of these reflections resonated with you, share your story in the comments below. What morning truth are you choosing to hold on to? What are you releasing? What's one small shift you've made that has brought more inner peace or emotional self-control? And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it and subscribe for more content on building quiet strength, mastering self-discipline, and unlocking your full potential. Remember, the way you start your day shapes the energy you carry into every room. Choose to reflect the strongest you again and again until it becomes who you are. Your mornings are powerful. Make them yours.